Hi, this is Bo Blackwell, Director of Education for ClickBank. In this video on improving conversions, we're going to get into the first steps you need to take to start getting better conversions for your product. So the first thing is to find your baseline. You want to know what your current conversion rate is so that you can actually improve upon it. If you don't know where you're starting out, you might actually start changing things or taking actions that could potentially have a negative impact on your conversion rate. Or at the very least, you won't really know whether you're having an impact at all. So it's important to get that baseline first that you can start working off of. So just as a reminder, the way that you can calculate your current conversion rate is by dividing the number of orders or signups to your mailing list, for example, by the number of visitors that you get. And you could either look at that as a number of overall visitors to your website or to a particular landing page so that you could know what your conversion rate is on a particular landing page or to your home page or something like that. So you divide that and you end up with a conversion rate which is expressed as a percentage. So you might have a 4% conversion rate or a 10% conversion rate. So the common question we get all the time is, what's a good conversion rate? And unfortunately, the answer is it depends. It can depend on a lot of different factors. So things like what niche you're in, what the price point is, where you're getting your traffic from, how long you've been doing it, or what type of product you're selling. There are a lot of different factors that can influence conversion rate. So it's best to kind of establish your personal baseline and then work off of that to improve it. So one of the keys to improving your conversion rate once you've established that baseline is to look at the whole order funnel. So you can think of it as people are naturally going to drop off along the process from first coming to your website to completing whatever action you want them to take, whether it is an order or whether it's signing up for your mailing list. So in this case, for this type of funnel, we're going to think of it as an order funnel. So at the very top, you have the total number of visitors to your website from all the different sources. So that's going to represent typically a much larger percentage of the people that are coming into your funnel. Then there's naturally going to be some drop off. And one of the ways that you can start working to improve conversion rate is to figure out what's causing people to drop off between visiting your website and then actually clicking, yes, I'm interested in buying, and landing on the order form, which is the next stage in the funnel, the order form impressions. So that's pretty broad. There are a lot of things that could be influencing it. It could be that your messaging and copywriting isn't appealing to them. It could be that you've targeted the wrong type of market. It could be that your order now button isn't placed clearly enough. So there are a lot of things in that drop off area there that you can think through to decide, is there something I can work on there, or what should I tackle first that seems like the lowest hanging fruit. And then after order form impressions, there are going to be a certain number of people that drop off before they actually complete the order. So they've taken that first step and said, yeah, I'm interested. It's basically the same as putting it in your cart, but then they don't complete the order. So thinking about what could you be doing there that might improve your conversion rate. It may be that they have second thoughts about the price. It could be that they don't necessarily understand why they're seeing the ClickBank order form after being on your website, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It could be that you just didn't do quite enough on the sales page from a copywriting standpoint to overcome any kind of last minute objections that they might have. So there are a few things that you could do in that stage as well to get them to take the plunge and go ahead and complete that order. So the place where you can find these numbers to start working with, and this is for all parts of the funnel, is in your ClickBank Analytics. So you can get there by going to the Reporting tab once you're logged in to your ClickBank account, and then clicking on the Analytics sub-menu item. And that'll take you to a page where you can see as a vendor all the affiliates that are driving traffic to you, how many hops that they've driven, what their earnings per hop is, and then you can look at this number here, order form impression count, which is that second stage of the process. And then finally, the initial sales count, which is going to be that final stage, the orders. So to sort of compare these numbers to that funnel I was talking about, this 39,091 visits would be the top of the funnel. The 4241 order form impressions would be that middle stage of the funnel. And then finally, the initial sales count would be that bottom of the funnel, so the actual number of orders. Now, one thing to note is that this is just the number of hops that were driven to your website, so this may not be the overall number of visits to your website. If you're driving your own traffic, for example, and it's not going through a hop link, then your visits number may be different. So you could look at conversion rates for affiliates and then also for overall conversion rate as well if you're driving a lot of traffic to your website yourself. One of the most important things that you can do to start getting a handle on conversion rate and how to improve it is to start tracking your traffic. There are a lot of different things that you can track, but all of it is going to be really useful information to try to figure out where there are holes in your funnel where people might be falling out. So these are just a few of the most popular web analytics tools. That's kind of what you call the traffic analysis tools, is web analytics. So these are a few of the most popular ones. Google Analytics is obviously very popular, and it's also free, which is great. And then the others cost a little bit of money. Typically, they're not very expensive. There are some really high-end web analytics packages if you are getting a lot of traffic and want to do really sophisticated tracking. But for most of our purposes, these are going to suit your needs. So something like Clicky, the difference between it and Google Analytics is that you can get really in depth with watching live visitors on your website, seeing where they're going, and just doing a few extra things that Google Analytics doesn't necessarily offer. But if you're just getting started and you want to start understanding how web analytics works and how you can apply it to your business, you really can't go wrong with taking a look at Google Analytics. So one of the best things that you can do to really start tracking your conversion rate and understanding where you need to optimize is by setting up goal tracking within your analytics. So this is just an example screenshot within Google Analytics of a goal. So your goal might be a completed order. So you would put some tracking code on the thank you page on your website saying when someone reaches this page, that means that they've completed an order. So you basically just set that up in Google. They'll give you a little snippet of code that you can place on whatever your thank you page is, and then it'll start tracking how many people actually completed the goal, and you can start looking at how people got to completed goals, where they might have dropped off of your website or clicked off onto another page that you weren't expecting. So it's a really powerful tool for understanding how people are getting through your website and where they might be getting tripped up. So another big advantage of doing this kind of tracking that you can really use to start understanding why you're not converting as well as you should be is starting to understand where is your traffic coming from. So this is an example, just a little top 10 report from within Google Analytics showing for this account, the number one source of traffic was basically from SEO, organic Google traffic. The second one might be from email or some other method, someone just typing in the URL. So that one's harder to track. And then you can see several more examples of where traffic came from. So starting to understand those traffic sources is a great way to really get a sense of, where visitors are coming from, what might be disconnecting from them in the messaging, where they might say, "Oh, this isn't really what I was looking for." Maybe they're coming from a website that's not directly tied to your target market, and then you could tweak your messaging, or you could really try to understand, for someone coming from this website, what would they be looking for, and how can I tailor my website to better meet their needs. Uh, the reason I bring that up is, and this is just a joke, that not all web traffic is created equal. There's some sources of web traffic that are really fantastic and will convert really well, and there are others that are not very relevant and may end up with you getting really low conversion rates. So it's important to keep that in mind when you're starting to think about how can I work on my conversion rate and how can I improve conversions. Because if you're getting traffic from bad sources, you're probably going to get bad conversion rates. So you can try to cut those out, or you can try to find ways to mitigate that bad traffic and instead focus on getting traffic from really strong sources. And we'll talk about that in future videos in this series. So that's it for this video. Start working, if you haven't yet, on installing web analytics and starting to track your sales as much as you can. Try to get a sense of what your baseline conversion rate is, whether it's for your product or for your mailing list. Take a look at how many sales or how many signups you've gotten over the past month. And if you're using any kind of a web analytics software like that, compare that to how many visits you've gotten, and then you'll get a baseline that we can start working from. So up next, we're going to jump straight into optimization techniques for how to start improving your conversion rate. And first up, we're going to talk about trust and reputation. So I'll see you in that video.